We are on chapter 3 of Benjamin West and his cat Grimalkin, and the name of the chapter is A Good Fishing Day. There was a kind of magic in the way Grimalkin grew. His fur began to fluff out, soft and black and shining. His tail became thick and uncommonly long. His body waxed strong and very nimble. And it was like magic the way he took possession of door latch inn. Almost as soon as Elmira and her kittens were returned to the barn, he began to look after things. Indoors and out, he set his own tasks. If one of the hound dogs so much as showed his nose in the parlor, Grimalkin cuffed him smartly and sent him yammering out the door. If the chickens got into Mama's kitchen yard, it was Grimalkin who chased them out. He also took care of the groundhogs and rabbits and snakes. There were the mouse holes to watch too, and the cows to bring in. He not only helped round them up, he also thought it wise to be on hand during the milking. No matter who did the milking, John or Thomas or Samuel or Joseph or even Papa, he would squirt some of the fresh milk right into Grimalkin's mouth. Grimalkin had to be there to catch it. Never was a cat so busy, nor so independent. He slept where he pleased, on the candle shelf, or in a drawer atop Mama's newly spun cloth, or on Papa's basket-bottom chair. But if the weather was cold, he liked to toast his bones before the fire, or crawl into bed with Benjamin. Often in the dead of night, when the moon was full, he would take it into his head to go hunting, and being as clever as he was independent, he asked no one to let him out. With one paw, he could lift the door latch as neatly as if he had 4 fingers and a thumb. In no time at all, Grimalkin was everyone's pet. Papa and Benjamin's 4 brothers liked him because he was a great ratter and mouser. Mama and Benjamin's 4 sisters liked him because, as Mama so often said, a more mannerly cat thee would not find anywhere. What other cat in all the province wipes his paws on the doormat before entering the kitchen? Polite and tidy, she added with a bright nod. Even Nanny Ludi, Papa's big mare, liked Grimalkin. She would sleep standing if Grimalkin chose to lie on her bed of straw. Yet Grimalkin treated Nanny Ludi as if he were a king and she were his slave. If he leaped upon her back to warm his paws, one would have thought by the airs he put on that he was doing her quite a favor. As for the guests who came and went, Grimalkin openly disapproved of them. After investigating them with his nose, he left them strictly alone. And when their carts rattled out of the innyard, he helped chase them on their way, and then flew back to the inn as if to say, at last, I have my family all to myself. But if he felt this way toward the family, he treated Benjamin almost as if he knew that Benjamin had saved his life. There was nothing he would not do for Benjamin. He would jump through a barrel hoop for him. He would roll over when told. He would box. He would play hide and seek, and a fairly good game of catch and toss. But more than all of this, he was a partner in everything that Benjamin did, and such an understanding grew up between them that strangers would remark on it. I vow and declare, they would say, Grimalkin's tail twitches with excitement, and he begins purring at the mere sound of Benjamin's voice. What these strangers did not know was that Benjamin and Grimalkin could talk to each other almost as person with person. Grimalkin would prick his ears forward and listen gravely to each word of Benjamin's. Then he would make eager little meowing replies, his talk growing louder and louder until he felt certain that Benjamin understood. There was the day that Benjamin and Grimalkin were left alone to mind Sally. Sally was Benjamin's baby niece. It was a day made for fishing, sky overcast, Winds gentle. For a whole hour, Benjamin had been sharpening a long pole. He was going to try spearing for trout, the way his friends the Indians did. He had already promised Grimalkin a fishing trip with all the minnows he could eat. But just as Benjamin was tucking an apple and some Johnny cake into his shirt, he heard the cloppity-clop of a horse's hoofs. And then such a hubbub. Rachel, Benjamin's married sister, came flouncing into the house carrying baby Sally. "Oh, Mamma," she cried, "I have been homesick for thee, and Benjamin, and everyone." Benjamin tried hard to look pleased, but in his mind's eye he saw a trout jump out of the water with a silver splash. Mamma made little cooing noises to the baby. Then she hung Rachel's hood and cloak on a peg as if she were company. "Benjamin," she said, "run up to the front bedchamber and fetch down the cradle. We let the little Scotch baby sleep in last night." With Grimalkin at his heels, Benjamin took the stairs 2 at a time. He returned breathless with a basket which looked like a great bird's nest on rockers. Grimalkin sat inside it, looking enormously pleased with himself. "Come, Grimalkin," whispered Benjamin, as he set the cradle down and began edging toward the door. "Thee, Benjamin," called Mamma, "please to fetch thy sisters. They will want to see our dear Sally." "Where are they, Mamma?" asked Benjamin in despair. "They are gathering wild mint by the creek." "Oh, Benjamin," cried Rachel in her most pleading manner, "I long to be out there with them. If thee were to mind Sally, Mamma and I could have a little outing." Benjamin bit his lips. He did not mind fetching wood or water. He did not even mind cleaning out the hen house very much. But minding the baby on a good fishing day? At a sharp look from Mamma, however, he sat down quickly. "Oh, thank thee, brother," smiled Rachel. "Here is the fly trap. Please to keep the flies away from Sally's face." Before Benjamin could say a word, he found himself face to face with the wailing Sally. "Why, she's mostly mouth," he said with disgust. Grimalkin's ears were thrown backward in disapproval. "Can't thee do something about this noise?" he seemed to ask. "Why, of course I can," replied Benjamin. "I can rock the cradle." The wailing stopped at once. The room grew so quiet that Benjamin fancied he could hear the bread rising. The minutes seemed like hours. The day was going to waste. Benjamin kept tiptoeing to the door to watch for Mamma and Rachel. "Poor Grimalkin," he sighed. "I promised thee some minnows, and here we are caught like insects in a web." He looked about the room. Suddenly his eyes fell on the wells of red ink and black ink on Papa's counter. Beside them lay a goose quill pen, a sandbox for blotting the ink, and a fresh sheet of paper. "How smooth and clean the paper looks," thought Benjamin. Then he turned to see if the flies were bothering Sally, and at that precise moment the baby happened to smile in her sleep. "Why, Grimalkin," Benjamin cried, "Sally is a little less funny-looking when she smiles. She is quite fair." His fingers reached for the goose quill pen. "I could draw her picture," he said in amazement. "I believe I could." Grimalkin smoothed his whiskers against Benjamin's leg. Then he gazed up with mischievous green eyes. "Well, why doesn't thee do it?" he purred as plainly as words. "Who is to stop thee?"